So yesterday we were discussing about cholinergics, and I told you what is acetylcholine and how it is formed in your neuron and how it is used as a neurotransmitter. Today we'll look over what are the receptors of your acetylcholine, the receptors that are conforming with acetylcholine, and what are their individual functions. Okay, hopefully we'll get into some of the drugs as well. Now, if I show you one chart, it'll be a little bit easier. See, this is the overall chart of your ANS. Okay, in your autonomic system, you have both sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, right? So, keeping the sympathetic nervous system aside, which will the sympathetic nervous system will mainly deal with adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. Not so much of dopamine, more of epinephrine, norepinephrine. Okay. Parasympathetic nervous system, on the other hand, will deal with acetylcholine mainly. You will have a little bit of what you call adrenaline here and there, but as such, the main neurotransmitter of your parasympathetic nervous system will be acetylcholine. So again, coming to the parasympathetic system, you will have both cholinergic drugs which will increase the level of acetylcholine in your body, either directly or indirectly, and you will have antagonists which will be called anticholinergics. They will act on the receptors of acetylcholine. Those two types of receptors that you have will be called nicotinic and muscarinic receptor. They are named because you have some alkaloids, okay, uh, natural alkaloids. One is nicotine, the other is muscarine. If you give muscarine, that receptor will get stimulated, and if you give nicotine, the other receptor gets stimulated. That is why they were called nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. Okay, both of them are alkaloids. So now coming to the specific receptors. Second, now coming to specific receptors, you have a few types. See, now nicotinic receptors specifically, there are two main types. Okay, you have NM or NN. Okay, NM will be present in your neuromuscular junction. Now, what is neuromuscular junction? आपका let's suppose I take your somatic neurons, and do you remember what is this thing? Ganglionic chain, sympathetic ganglionic chain that is present beside your um, spinal cord. अगर आपका brain ऐसा लिया मैं, let's suppose this is your brain and this is your spinal cord. Here you will have a chain of ganglia. This is called the sympathetic chain. I hope you remember this. Okay. यहाँ से, so if I change the color a little bit, let's suppose this is a neuron. From your brain you have a message going to your spinal cord, and from your spinal cord you have peripheral nervous system, wherein one part of peripheral nervous system being your autonomic nervous system. Now this fellow that is coming out will be preganglionic neuron. This chain, sympathetic chain, is basically a chain of ganglia. There will be several ganglia present like this that will form a chain. That is why this fellow is called a sympathetic chain. Okay? This is your presynaptic neuron or preganglionic neuron. Specifically, this is coming before ganglia, and what comes after from here will be postganglionic. Now it can be postganglionic sympathetic neuron, postganglionic parasympathetic or sympathetic neuron, preganglionic sympathetic or what do you call sympathetic or parasympathetic neuron. Either way, you can have various combinations, but for now we have a preganglionic neuron which is coming before the ganglia, this fellow, and one which is coming after the ganglia. Now your NN receptors will be present in this, mainly in this. Okay, they will be present in your autonomic ganglia, and sometimes they will innervate your adrenal medulla. Now let's suppose यहाँ से आपको let's suppose the innervation is going to your stomach. Okay, wherein some stimulus is being sent from your brain all the way to your stomach through your sympathetic neurons, through your sympathetic chain, and यहाँ पर the ganglion पे, so if I enlarge this a little bit, I have one neuron like this, I have a ganglion like this, and I have another neuron like this. यही है ना? This is the preganglionic neuron and this is the postganglionic neuron, this being the ganglion. ठीक है? Those NN receptors that are present on the surface here will be present here. ऐसा रहते हैं, ठीक है, दे विल बी प्रेजेंट हियर. व्हाट देयर फंक्शन इज, यहाँ से जो असेटाइल कोलिन आ रहा specifically here rather than here, okay, whatever acetylcholine is coming out from here will come and attach here and stimulate this ganglion so that it can pass the message to the post ganglionic neuron. Okay, this post ganglionic neuron might be attached to any other organ, generally to some or the other GIT organ of your gastrointestinal tract को attached रहता. One example I'm taking is stomach. Okay, now from here on out, from the ganglia, it might be a different neuron. It might be a neuron that is sympathetic, which might be using norepinephrine, or it might be using dopamine. What is important here is this NN type of receptor is present in this sympathetic chain, specifically your autonomic ganglia. This is the autonomic ganglia. Okay, I hope समझ में आया where is the location of NN receptor. If you want me to explain again, please let me know. पूरों को पक्का समझ में आया what is happening?
Sir, explain again.
अच्छा. Okay. Let's suppose for now we have one message that is going from your brain to your stomach. ठीक है, let's suppose your brain is telling your stomach to secrete acid. ठीक है, in whenever you have acid being secreted, that is when you'll be hungry. ठीक है, now let's suppose you have a message that is going from your brain. Let's suppose this is the message. It is going all the way up to your spinal cord, and from your spinal cord it is entering your peripheral nervous system. See, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system दो रहते हैं ना. Peripheral, one modified form of peripheral nervous system is ANS. Even though in what you call, some people regard ANS as a completely different system, it is technically a branch of your PNS now, or at least it was supposed to be. Now this message that is entering your PNS, peripheral nervous system, it will first enter this neuron, which is a preganglionic neuron. It is coming out of your spinal cord and it will go into your sympathetic chain. This is your sympathetic chain. ठीक है, ये sympathetic chain में there will be one particular ganglia. That fellow will be called an autonomic ganglia. ठीक है, the if it is a cholinergic neuron, meaning it is working through acetylcholine, ACH, this preganglionic neuron will have its counterpart, which is a NN receptor. Matlab, to receive that acetylcholine, now if I'm telling it's a cholinergic neuron, it means that acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter of that neuron. So let's suppose this is the acetylcholine present here, and यहाँ पर acetylcholine आ रहा, it will come and attach here. Okay, if you look at the structure, I'm not getting into the structure and all of the receptor, it will again get confusing for you. But ये receptor को आके this acetylcholine molecule gets attached to this receptor. Whenever this attachment occurs, your message is relayed into the ganglia, and from here another neurotransmitter will send the message to the next neuron. ठीक है, ganglia is a bunch of neurons that are present in between which are relaying messages. Now यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, this message from your acetylcholine, the primary acetylcholine molecule number 1, is going to your ganglia and sending a message to a different neurotransmitter here. Sometimes it can be acetylcholine itself, it can be acetylcholine present in the ganglia, or from here on out you might have a sympathetic neuronal transmission, in the sense that it might be norepinephrine. In either case, whatever is present here, the receptor that is receiving this message will be an NN type of receptor. ठीक है, यहाँ से you can have norepinephrine, you might have acetylcholine as well. Some neurons are directly having acetylcholine, some have dopamine. That is immaterial. What is important is that the the receptor that is what do you call, catching the signal of your acetylcholine will be NN, which is present in the ganglion, autonomic ganglion. ठीक है, समझ में आया अभी? Did you guys understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope the other two people have also understood. Now this is one location where you will have NN receptor. There is another location where you can have NN receptor. Adrenal glands. कैसा आता बोले तो? this was sympathetic innervation, right? At some sympathetic innervation, I told you, will have your acetylcholine working as a neurotransmitter, and some parasympathetic innervation will have adrenaline. See, whenever we talk about parasympathetic and sympathetic, the main neurotransmitter in parasympathetic will be acetylcholine. Most of the reactions of parasympathetic will be governed by acetylcholine. Some of them, very few, will be governed by norepinephrine or noradrenaline. Okay? In sympathetic nervous system, the main neurotransmitter will be adrenaline or your epinephrine or norepinephrine. Okay? Sometimes dopamine as well. A few neurons will deal with acetylcholine. So the major neurotransmitter in parasympathetic nervous system is acetylcholine. The major neurotransmitter in sympathetic nervous system is adrenaline. But it does not mean that one is exclusive to the other. It is not that acetylcholine is only exclusive to parasympathetic, उसमें ही रहता. It will be present in sympathetic as well, sympathetic neurons, but very few of them. ठीक है? Now I'll tell you one scenario where you have direct parasympathetic innervation to a gland. ठीक है? That is another location where you have NN receptor. So for example, I have one message which I want to transmit to my adrenal glands, adrenal medulla. So यहाँ से again message is generated in your brain. It is going to your spinal cord. From your spinal cord, one neuron will come and it will not enter your sympathetic ganglia. It will directly innervate your adrenal gland. ठीक है? This is your adrenal gland. Let's suppose this is your adrenal gland. यहाँ पर the receptor which is present, this fellow which is receiving acetylcholine, so this is a cholinergic receptor, okay, which will secrete acetylcholine, and the receptor which is receiving this neurotransmitter here will be NN. Okay, so NN receptors are present in two locations. They'll be present in autonomic ganglia and they'll be present in adrenal medulla. In few locations here and there, you will also find NN receptors present in CNS, but very rare. Mainly they'll be present in autonomic ganglia. The other location is adrenal medulla. Okay, it'll send a message to your adrenal medulla to secrete what you call certain substances, to secrete what you call catecholamines and all of that. That is a different issue altogether, but this is the innervation. NN. ये समझ में आया? There are two main locations now, autonomic ganglia and your adrenal medulla. I hope समझ में आया. Now that was one type of nicotinic receptor. ठीक है? If we see overall, you have two types of main receptors, right? In acetylcholine, the receptors that conform with acetylcholine will be nicotinic and muscarinic. Okay? Nicotinic will be divided into two, NN, which we just discussed, and there is NM. In muscarinic, you will have M1, M2, and M3. There are other types as well. I'm not going to discuss them. There are M4, M5. उन लोगों का location and function is not that solid, or it is not completely understood. These three are more commonly used. Okay, so we finished with NN. Now where is NM? Again, let's suppose take your brain and your spinal cord. Okay, यहाँ से there will be a innervation that is going to your muscle. Okay, let's suppose this is your skeletal muscle specifically. Okay, यहाँ पर this is a cholinergic neuron that is sending acetylcholine to something called a motor end plate. I think I have an image around here. हाँ जी है. एक second. Show you the image. See. So if you look closely, this is a neuromuscular junction. मतलब you will have a neuron that is directly innervating in a muscle. Okay? That portion where you have a intersection or a junction in between neuron and muscle, that will be called a motor end plate. Okay? If you can see this part here, this here, this is a motor end plate. ठीक है? यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा? The main neurotransmitter that we are talking about is your acetylcholine. Specifically, it will use NM type of receptors. That is why it is using muscle. It is present in the muscle. That is why it is named NM. Okay. Your NM type of receptor will be present at the motor end plate. See, यहाँ पर neurotransmitter gland gated channel लिखा हुआ है ना नीचे. If you can see in the bottom left position, you can see acetylcholinesterase, acetylcholine receptor site. Under that, you can see neurotransmitter gated channel. Those are NM type of receptors. They will receive acetylcholine and they will stimulate your skeletal muscle to contract. Okay, so you have a direct innervation of your cholinergic neuron into your muscle. That direct innervation will use NM type of receptor. Okay, समझ में आया what is NM? I hope you guys understood. There's no response altogether, so you can put it in the chat as well if you want me to repeat, or it is simpler than NN. I'll repeat it just in case someone did not understand. You have your brain, your spinal cord. There is a message to contract your. This is specifically deals with involuntary function, those kind of contractions. Okay, skeletal muscle contractions. Let's suppose यहाँ से brain से there is a information that is going to your spinal cord and coming out from here. This innervation from your spinal cord. Let's suppose in your spinal cord here you have this fellow neuron coming out and innervating a muscle. Let's suppose I draw a muscle like this. आपके sarcolemma पे आता. I hope you remember what is sarcolemma. यहाँ पर the neuron that is sending a neurotransmitter, specifically acetylcholine. So let's suppose this is acetylcholine molecule that is coming out here. It will come and attach to a receptor present here on the surface of that muscle, on the sarcolemma. The receptor that is present on the sarcolemma, that fellow will be called NM. Okay? That is the acetylcholinergic receptor that is conforming or it is present on your muscle. Okay? Those are the two types of nicotinic receptors. Now, if you smoke cigarette or someone consumes nicotine, okay, these two receptors get stimulated. That is why they were called nicotinic receptors. Okay? In any case, if you take nicotine either by smoking or by some other chewing or somewhere or the other, both NN and NM will get stimulated. Okay? That is why they were called nicotinic receptors. Now coming to muscarinic receptors. Muscarinic receptors, there are three main types. Okay, you have M1, M2, and M3. Your one second, I'll show you that image. See, you have M4 and M5, but let's keep it easier. M1 to M3 याद रख लिया तो बहुत है. Your M1 will be present in your CNS. It will also be present in your autonomic ganglia. It will be present in your gastric glands other than CNS. Your M2 is mainly present in your heart. Okay, it will cause relaxation of the heart, and it will what do you call? It will be present in smooth muscles as well as a few nerves here and there. M3 is present in GIT, specifically your smooth muscles of your GIT and a few glands. It will cause exocrine functions of your glands. Okay, so whenever it is innervating one particular gland, a muscarinic receptor will cause the secretion out of the gland. Okay, that is why they are यहाँ पर. Other than CNS, you can see exocrine. Okay, they are also present in peripheral arteries, but the main locations will be glands and smooth muscle for M3, for M2 heart, and for M1 autonomic ganglia and gastric glands. Okay, those are the locations of your muscarinic receptors. So now यहाँ पर whenever you give one particular alkaloid called muscarine, so you have an alkaloid named muscarine. Whenever you give this alkaloid, you will get stimulation from M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5. That is why they are called muscarinic receptors. If I talk about the functions of your muscarinic receptors, it will basically, let's suppose on your heart, if I give muscarine, what will happen is it will be similar to acetylcholine in the sense that there will be vagal stimulation. It reduces heart rate and force of contraction. So whenever there is muscarinic stimulation on your heart, it will so on your heart, let's suppose I draw like this. Second. Oh, someone is controlling the pen. Yeah. हाँ जी. So if we talk about the functions of your heart, functions of your muscarinic receptor on your heart, it will decrease heart rate, ठीक है, and it will decrease force of contraction. What will happen if you decrease heart rate and force of contraction? Something happens now in your heart. Let's suppose I'm decreasing heart rate and force of contraction. What will be the result?
Blood flow decreases.
Hmm?
Blood flow decreases.
Blood flow decreases. Specifically, cardiac output falls. Correct. Your cardiac output will decrease. What is your normal cardiac output? See, थोड़ा थोड़ा याद रखना पड़ता, बेसिक्स नहीं भूल सकते. बेसिक्स भूले तो परेशानी. ठीक है. Find out and tell me what is your normal cardiac output. So on your heart, it is decreasing your heart rate and your force of contraction. On your blood vessels, it will relax vascular smooth muscles and it will dilate the blood vessel. So it will cause dilation of your blood vessel. So this is your blood vessel. Okay, it will cause dilation of your blood vessels, specifically those blood vessels that are present on your skin. Okay, because of which what will happen is a little bit of redness can occur if you are taking high doses of a cholinergic drug. What do you call, because of dilation, redness can occur, and other than that, what will end up happening is BP will fall. Because blood vessel is dilating, blood pressure goes down. ठीक है. In extreme doses, क्या बोलते हैं, you can go into cardiogenic shock if you give extreme doses of muscarine, or if someone is consuming high doses of muscarine. Because of excessive decrease in heart rate, force of contraction, and decrease in BP, the patient can go into shock. Okay. Other than that, on your smooth muscle, now on your smooth muscle, this fellow will increase the tone of that muscle. Okay. It will increase the tone of all non-muscular smooth muscles. Specifically on your GIT, it will the tone and peristalsis are enhanced, meaning the effect of muscarinic receptor stimulation, specifically in your GIT, will be digestion will increase. Okay, whenever tone and peristalsis are enhanced, it will also cause sphincters to relax. So specifically in GIT, it will promote digestion. Okay. If you are having increased peristalsis and you are having increased tone of smooth muscle present in your GIT, it will promote digestion. Okay. Now on your urinary bladder, the smooth muscles of your urinary bladder, they will get relaxed, and because of which voiding occurs. So you will have the urgency to urinate. That will happen whenever you have smooth muscles of your urinary tract being relaxed due to the action of muscarine. It will cause voiding, urine voiding. Now other than that, if smooth muscles that are present on your bronchi are relaxed to a certain extent, it is fine, but if it is relaxed a lot, it can lead to bronchospasm. So whenever we give a cholinergic drug, you need to be very careful that it is specific. If it is not specific, it will create several actions. There are more functions as well, but here itself we have seen that, see, if we are trying to give a cholinergic drug, you have to be careful that it is not decreasing heart rate, it is not decreasing force of contraction, it is not affecting BP, and it is not causing all of these side effects. These will be the side effects. I'm trying to do one particular function, trying to increase acetylcholine level, but let's suppose the patient is having what do you call, excessive amount of what do you call, uh, let's suppose they are having constipation, for example, and you are trying to only target constipation by giving a cholinergic drug, for example. The side effect will be that you will have decreased BP and decreased heart rate, and force of contraction will decrease. Sometimes if you give a large enough dose, bronchospasms might get what they call triggered. Now other than this, on your secretory gland specifically, acetylcholine will increase the secretion of all glands. So bronchospasm may also be because of increased bronchial secretion, not just what do you call, bronchial smooth muscle relaxation, but it will also cause bronchial secretions to increase, which can lead to dyspnea. the patient might not be able to breathe properly. And on your eye, it will cause, because of the smooth muscle contraction, it will cause meiosis. So pupils will get contracted, meiosis will occur. Let me just show you a chart of the functions of this thing. I think I have a chart, so it'll be easier for you to understand. Yeah, see, these are the specific effects of your muscarine and your nicotinic receptors. So depending on the organ system, you will get different effects. Meaning, whenever I'm giving acetylcholine, whenever these acetylcholine molecules are acting on nicotinic receptors, they will cause certain effects. Whereas when they are acting on muscarinic receptors, they will cause certain effects. If it is a specifically non-selective type, you will get all of these effects. Okay, depending on the dose, some effects may be more, some effects may be less. So some common effects like perspiration will occur. I told you, like your glands will start secreting more, because of which perspiration can occur. Lacrimation will occur. The patient will have increased tear formation. The patient might have urination, because urine, what do you call, your urinary smooth muscles are getting relaxed. If nicotinic receptors are stimulated, now if it is a specific type of drug, nicotinic receptors are being stimulated, mydriasis will occur, in the sense that pupil dilation will occur. Whereas if muscarinic receptors are stimulated, meiosis will occur. So you have to be careful of that. Depending on what type of drug you have given, even if it is a cholinergic, whether it is what they call predominantly nicotinic or predominantly muscarinic, meaning it has more muscarinic action or it has more nicotinic action, you will see a different type of function, at least with respect to your eye. Okay, sometimes they will be somewhat similar, sometimes it will be different. Now see, you on your CVS itself, if you are stimulating using a nicotinic agent, which has a cholinergic agent which is mostly nicotinic in nature, or which is stimulating your nicotinic receptors present on your heart, it will cause hypertension and tachycardia. Whereas if it is a muscarinic receptor that is stimulated, it will cause bradycardia, it will decrease force of contraction, it will decrease heart rate, it will cause arrhythmias, it will prolong your QT interval, it will cause hypotension. So you can see some differences here. Because nicotinic receptors are not present in your GIT, there are no effects of what you call nicotinic drugs on your GIT. But muscarinic receptors can have an effect. They will cause nausea, they might cause vomiting and emesis, and they might cause diarrhea. As such, muscarinic receptors stimulation, normal stimulation through acetylcholine on your GIT will enhance your how should I put it? It will enhance your digestion. Okay, that is why your parasympathetic nervous system is more like rest and digest, whereas your sympathetic nervous system is flight or flight. Okay, यहाँ पर rest and digest will come into picture, and if it is excessive stimulation, it can cause vomiting or diarrhea. The last part is what you call musculoskeletal system. In your musculoskeletal system, the main type of receptor that you will see is nicotinic. You will not find muscarinic receptors in your musculoskeletal system. Here, whenever nicotinic receptors are stimulated there, it can cause overstimulation, can cause weakness, it can cause paralysis, it can cause fasciculations. All right, those are the individual functions of nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. Now keep those in mind when we discuss about the drugs. Depending on what type of drug we are giving, you might have different effects. Okay, whether nicotinic receptors are getting stimulated or muscarinic receptors are getting stimulated. I hope you understood the difference between the functions of nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. If you still have confusion, go over your parasympathetic nervous system once. I'll send those images in our group as well, so that you might review them later. Okay, it'll be much more easier once you go through them and you understand what are those specific functions. Then you will understand how those drugs are working. Okay, now when we talk about your drugs, specifically the drugs dealing with acetylcholine, now there are two types of drugs. Okay, you have either cholinergics or cholinergic drugs. These are drugs that will increase the level of acetylcholine in your body, and you have anticholinergics. Anticholinergics are those drugs that will decrease the acetylcholine level in your body. Both of them are necessary, in the sense that, let's suppose there is a patient who has decreased amount of acetylcholine in their body, either because of a disease or because of whatever condition, they are having decreased amount of acetylcholine levels. In them, you can give a cholinergic drug. Whereas in patients who have excessive amount of acetylcholine, you can give a anticholinergic drugs. There will be sometimes some poisons like organophosphate and things like that, which can in turn what you call throw you out of balance. But we'll discuss organophosphate poisoning when we come to it. That will be a part of your anticholinergic, where you have excessive amount of acetylcholine which you are trying to decrease using anticholinergic drugs. Now, first of all, coming to your cholinergic drugs, the classification of cholinergic drugs will include the first class, which are esters of choline. So these are direct substituents of choline. If you remember, yesterday we discussed how acetylcholine is made. So you add one molecule of choline and one molecule of acetyl coenzyme A in the presence of choline acetyl transferase to form acetylcholine. These are esters of choline. These will be very similar to choline, and they will cause the production of acetylcholine. They are directly increasing the amount of acetylcholine. So the primary ester will be acetylcholine itself. So you have acetylcholine, you have methacholine, and you have betacholine. Okay, this is the first class. Then you have cholinomimetic drugs, cholinomimetic alkaloids specifically. These will mimic the function of acetylcholine. That is why they are called cholinomimetic. Okay, they will act like acetylcholine even though they are not acetylcholine. Now you have pilocarpine and muscarine. We discussed about what is muscarine. It is an alkaloid that will specifically stimulate your muscarinic receptors. Then you have one specific class called anticholinesterases. Now, if you remember when we were discussing about the metabolism of your acetylcholine yesterday itself, I told you once acetylcholine has done its job in your synapse, it will get degraded using one particular enzyme called cholinesterase into choline and acetic acid. That is essentially breaking down acetylcholine. So let's suppose we have your, let's suppose this is the postsynaptic neuron and this is the presynaptic neuron, and यहाँ से ACH is coming out. Okay, it is attaching to this receptor here, doing its function, sending a threshold potential, and it is coming out. After it comes out of the receptor, it will get broken down using cholinesterase, the enzyme cholinesterase, and it will be broken down into choline, and it will be broken down into acetic acid. This choline can be taken up by that presynaptic neuron again, so that it can make another molecule of acetylcholine, okay, by combining with acetyl coenzyme A. यहाँ पर the problem is, if a person already has low amounts of acetylcholine, you do not want this enzyme to break it down even further. You want that acetylcholine molecule to stay. Now, as we discussed in your depression, if you remember, there was one particular type of enzyme called MAO, monoamine oxidase, right? That fellow was breaking down the neurotransmitter. वहाँ पर we gave something called a monoamine oxidase inhibitor. In this scenario, which the enzyme that is breaking down your acetylcholine, you will give a drug to stop that particular enzyme. Those drugs that will stop acetylcholinesterases will be called anticholinesterases. Okay, we'll get into a little more detail when we discuss about them. Now in this you have both reversible anticholinesterases, which will include your neostigmine, your physostigmine, and edrophonium. Then you have irreversible type of anticholinesterases, which will include organophosphates, specifically organophosphate compounds. For now, you don't need to discuss about the other ones. You will have a lot more, but for now we'll keep it simple. We'll keep it to organophosphate molecules. You will also have carbamates, but that is a different story altogether. When we discuss about that class, we'll get into details. Okay, this is the basic classification of your cholinergic drugs. We'll get into it in the next class. Okay, tomorrow. have like 3 minutes left.